4 steps to better compositions. This is the breakdown maternity edition. We're gonna go from this to this final image using nothing but natural light. My name is Pi, and I'm one of the founders of Lynn and Jersa Photography and SLRLounge.com. We're teaming up with Adorama to bring you a new series of photography tutorials called Master Your Craft right here on Adorama TV. So let's dive in. What's up, friends? My name is Pi. Welcome to Adorama TV. I've been doing a few of these kind of step-by-step breakdowns. I think you guys have been liking them, so let's do some more. This one, let's get straight into it. This is a maternity shoot with actual clients. We're gonna start with step 1, and you'll notice that our steps basically follow the C.A.M.P framework. And if you forgot, C.A.M.P simply stands for composition, ambient light, modify, and then photograph. I'm gonna work through each step in this process that we teach to kind of give you a sense of consistency when you arrive on scene, how you can work your way into a final image that's better than simply the walk-up shot that you came into. So let's start with number 1, which is composition. And what we're really thinking here is background and kind of lens choice, right? So on arriving, what we have, and you'll see this in the B-roll as well as in some of our just kind of test images, if I shoot, we're in this grove of trees that's basically between homes. If I shoot towards the light, I reveal this road and all the cars going by, which is quite busy. So if I'm gonna shoot in this direction, I kind of know that anything going this way, I need to either shoot at a very shallow depth or, well, probably more like I need to place the subjects in front of it to kind of conceal the road or street. So the first thing I'm kind of opting for this scene or this particular shot is sort of a wider image, but one where we come at an angle. From a background and composition standpoint, I'm using this tree to actually conceal that road. So this is the exact same tree right here. So all I've done is really moved back and kind of towards an angle with that 70 to 200 lens to conceal the road entirely. Okay, I'm in position. The next thing that I kind of like about this is the fact that right behind them, we not only have this dark spot where I've actually brightened this exposure so you can see it just a bit better, right? But when it's set to where I want it, it's actually quite dark behind them, which just means I need a little bit of a kicker to kind of light them up. But otherwise, this background is nice because it sort of not only frames them, but we have these leading lines. See, check this out. We have this tree on the right side that kind of frames the leaves up and over, and also the tree on the left side that frames, as well as kind of the branches that drop in the background. So what I like about this particular spot is not only is the scene beautiful overall in terms of the angle, the lighting, but if I place my subjects right here, we get this natural framing. Now I'm putting them there just for a kind of before shot. This is an actual client shoot, so I didn't want it to be like, you know, we're teaching on location. But as I'm framing, I'm thinking this is the perfect spot to place our subjects. Now the next piece of this goes to step 2, which is our ambient light exposure, right? What we want to do is decide the exposure in camera to kind of set the tone for the scene and whether we're going to add additional light and whatnot. This is oftentimes where I'll actually place my subject as well, just so that I can have them in the scene when I'm actually testing the light. I think that's kind of important so you can see where the shadows are in terms of their skin, where the highlights are and all that. So with them placed, I'm going to show you the exposure that we're getting to. It's right around 1/500th f2.8 and ISO 400. I'm keeping the ISO kind of high because I want to shoot at a fast shutter speed. I don't want any potential for you know, camera shake or for movement or anything. They're not going to move quickly, but I'd rather err on that side than keep the shutter speed too slow and get a not so sharp image. And this one is at around 70 millimeters. I'm going to make some micro adjustments to the composition a bit, but we're all set up. And I'm on the Canon R5, by the way. Okay, so the next piece of this with our ambient light set is to basically modify our lighting, or what I like to say, micro adjust. This is a natural light image, right? So micro adjustments or modifying the light doesn't necessarily have to be you grabbing a flash. And I think that's important to understand because sometimes, you know, for all of my shoots, I carry my flash with me, but if I don't have to use it, then I won't. Like, I don't need to mess with it if what I already have is good. But the problem is you'll notice that with this particular shot, what we already have isn't that great. So the micro adjust piece for this came as far as moving them just a little bit into one of these spots of light. And this is a huge difference. See, if you actually look at just the raw files, neither of these have been edited at all, right? if you look at these and place them, let's just go to survey view by pressing N inside of Lightroom, side by side, they're in roughly the same pose. They're really similar compositions overall, but notice how they just completely pop out of the frame. This is just natural light. And instead of setting up my flash, I could have set up a flash to do this, but why go that far if all I have to do is just make a micro adjustment to where they're standing? So here we're making that micro adjustment to where they're standing. The second adjustment that I made was, if you notice, on this image right here, we're still in the 7200, but I've actually backed up a little bit more and zoomed in a little bit just to create a little bit more depth in the shot. So we get a little bit more of the background blur. So just another small micro adjustment on that side. One other thing that I do a lot, and this one, I feel like this tip is worth the time in the video just in and of itself, but what I'll actually do is I'll adjust their face and body position just by rotating a little bit to create kickers from the natural light, right? So skin, as well as like the light tones of her dress, and same with his, he has this white and blue outfit. This creates this natural kicker where the light's gonna reflect off of them and bounce onto each other's face. All you really have to do is just rotate them, just open or close them a little bit to get that. And if you look, it's a huge difference in terms of light. Like, look at the difference once they're into the highlight and once we rotate the faces a little bit, look at how we naturally create this light and shape onto the face. Again, everything we're doing is just natural light with these small little micro adjustments. With all of our modifications or micro adjustments in, we go to step 4, which is basically just to pose and photograph, right? So for this, because it's a maternity shoot, the first shot that I wanted to do was basically where they're standing and he brings his hands to her belly and they both kind of look down and look towards baby. One small thing that I'm doing too is height-wise, there's a little bit of a difference there. He's a little bit shorter actually than she is. So I actually have her standing in a spot where she's a tiny bit lower, and also the kick to the hip while he's standing straight kind of evens out the height differences, right? So just a small thing there. The next thing that I'm doing is then having him go down to a knee and go in and actually kiss the belly and whatnot. We have a few more shots in this sequence, but this does a good enough job of kind of showing it. Now with those simple adjustments, just 4 basic steps, and it doesn't take that long. Once you get used to this process, we're talking 1 to 2 minutes to go from, you know, your test shot to actually starting to get final images. But I want you to look at the difference. And you might think that, well, if I showed you the final image and then showed you the before, right? You'd be like, well, one's edited and one's not. So I'm going to show you the before image as it's edited, which is this. And I've even burned down. So anything in the background that is too bright, we can easily burn down in post. So watch this. I'm going to go full screen so you guys can see this. This is just the straight up shot. And we've already done some compositional things here. We just haven't done the micro adjustments to get them in the right place, to get the light on their faces quite right? But this is the final image with those micro adjustments. And the difference between those is absolutely massive. I mean, this shot, they're edited identically. Same masks, same dodging, same burning, same everything, all done in Lightroom. 10 to 20 seconds of editing using Visual Flow presets. And the difference between these is absolutely massive. Now, if you're curious, I actually used Visual Flow's Mood Pack on this particular set to give it that nice, warm, sort of rustic and cinematic vibe to it. That's it for me, folks. Hope y'all enjoyed the video. If you guys like my teaching style, be sure to check out the A to Z library inside of SLR Lounge Premium. Inside of there is basically every single step and tutorial that you would need, from picking up a camera all the way to running a professional portrait or wedding photography studio. On top of that, as always, we would love for you to subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications so you can see all the great videos we're uploading. And by the way, I read each and every one of your guys' comments. If you guys have ideas, thoughts, what you'd like to see next, let me know. And I also do my best to reply. You guys can find me at PieJerson on Instagram, and I'll see you all next week, same time, same place. Peace.